In the high-stakes world of multi-million-dollar deals, speed isn't just an advantage, it's everything. So today, we're going to break down something pretty wild, how one investment firm basically hired a team of AI agents to do months of work in minutes. Yeah, you heard that right.
Just think about that for a second. What if you could take a process that normally ties up your smartest people for weeks, even months, and just shrink it down to a few minutes? That's not science fiction. It's exactly what we're diving into today.
Okay, so first things first, let's set the scene. To really get why this AI solution is such a game changer, you've got to understand the pressure cooker that is mergers and acquisitions, M&A. We're talking about a world where finding one tiny piece of data at the right time can literally mean the difference between a massive win and a very expensive mistake.
So, meet our key player, a European investment firm called Total Specific Solutions, or TSS for short. Now, just picture this. Every single time they look at a potential deal, their team gets hit with this tidal wave of data. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of pages of dense financials, tech audits, HR reports, you name it. And the second that data lands, the clock starts ticking. Loudly.
And that right there created the first massive hurdle, just sheer document overload. We're not talking about a little light reading. A single analyst could easily burn several days just slogging through the initial paperwork for one company. Now multiply that by the dozens of deals they're looking at, and you can see how this creates a huge, crippling bottleneck. Deals are slowing down, and great opportunities are probably just slipping through their fingers. But it gets even trickier, right? It wasn't just about reading the documents. It was about trying to make sense of them all together. You see, key metrics, things like net revenue retention or the Rule of 40, which are super important for valuing software companies, well, every single target company calculated them differently. It was a total mess. Trying to make a simple apples-to-apples comparison was an absolute manual nightmare.
And then there was the third and maybe the most frustrating hurdle, something called knowledge drift. Look, TSS had this incredible goldmine of experience from over 10,000 past deals. I mean, a literal treasure trove of insights. But where was all that wisdom? It was basically buried alive in a graveyard of old servers and endless nested folders. Totally lost. I mean, what good is the perfect lesson from a deal back in 2018 if you can't find it when you need it most? It's useless.
All right, so you've got this triple threat: a need for speed, a nightmare of inconsistency, and all this lost knowledge. Faced with all that, TSS decided they needed something completely different. They turned to a groundbreaking solution from a company called Raia. And get this, they didn't just buy a new piece of software. It was more like they hired a whole new kind of team. And this new team has a name: an Agentic workforce. Let's break that term down because it's important. This isn't just one big monolithic AI doing everything. No. Think of it more like a special ops team. It's a coordinated group of highly specialized AI agents. Each one has a specific job. One's the reader, another is the scorer, and a third is the reporter. They all work together to get the mission done.
So why this particular platform? Why Raia? Well, it wasn't a random choice. It really came down to 4 key things they absolutely had to have. First, raw power, the ability to ingest and process thousands of documents in minutes. Check. Second, flexibility. They needed to be able to plug in their own secret sauce, their proprietary fit score model. Check. Third, Fort Knox level security, which is, a total non-negotiable when you're dealing with sensitive deal data. Check. And finally, and this is super important, a feedback loop, a way for their human analysts to coach the AI in real time, making it smarter with every interaction. Check.
Okay, that's the why. Now let's get into the how. How did this actually work on the ground? It's time to meet the new AI team, the digital crew that TSS put together. So this AI team basically had 3 star players. First up, you've got the deal screener. This is the workhorse. It plows through all the new documents, pulls out over 80 key performance indicators, calculates that custom fit score, and even drafts the first summary. Then you have the deep dive analyst. Think of this one as the team's researcher or librarian. The human analysts can ask it any ad hoc question, and it'll dig up the answer, complete with sources. And finally, the post-deal insight agent. This one is maybe the most important for the long run. It keeps an eye on companies after they're acquired, flags anything unusual, and, this is the magic part, feeds all those learn-ins right back into the system. Now, this whole thing didn't just happen overnight. You can't just flip a switch on something this big. TSS was super smart about it, rolling it out in careful phases. For the first 3 weeks, it was all about training, just feeding the AI tons of historical data to learn from. Then, for the next few weeks, they ran a pilot with a couple of teams to work out the kinks and get feedback. The main deal screener agent went live across the whole firm at week 8, and by the 4th month, the entire AI team was fully operational. And all of this brings us to the really exciting part, the future. Because what we're looking at here isn't just about speeding up an old, clunky process. Not at all. This is about creating a fundamentally new way of doing business, an intelligent, continuously learning system for making better and better investment decisions. And this isn't just a case study about something that happened years ago. This is happening right now. As we speak, the TSS team is deep into their pilot phase. So we're all kind of holding our breath, waiting for the hard, quantitative results, which they expect to have pretty soon, right after their first full quarter of using it live.
But the ultimate goal, the real end game here, is just wow. It's to create a true, continuous learning loop. Just think about that. Every piece of insight from how a company performs after a deal is done gets automatically fed back into the system to retrain the AI for screening the next deal. The system literally gets smarter with every single success, and, just as importantly, with every failure.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway for today. What TSS is building here, this isn't just a story about M&A. It's a blueprint, a model for how really complex, knowledge-intensive work could be transformed in, well, pretty much any industry you can think of. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on. Is your next coworker going to be an AI agent?